First of all, they said that he hid in the dark, scoped out a target, aimed down and shot her, was able to flee the scene, wore a mask, and go back home. That doesn't sound like someone who has a childlike mentality to me. I might be thinking wrong, but just tell me, y'all. That seems like someone who deliberately knows what they're doing, understands what's right and wrong, understands that he could get in trouble for it. That's why he wore a mask. Sounds like someone who deserves to be in jail.
Loyola student Sheridan Gorman is due in court this morning.
Courtney Spinelli's at the courthouse at 26 in California with the latest. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, good morning to you both. The suspect in this case, 25-year-old Jose Medina, has been hospitalized for tuberculosis treatment since his arrest last Friday and was unable to appear in court earlier this week. As of right now, records show his name still appears on the docket for later this morning, though the current status of his health is not known. Medina, who the Department of Homeland Security says is from Venezuela and entered the country illegally in 2023, faces murder, attempted murder, and other charges in the shooting death of Loyola student Sheridan Gorman. The 18-year-old was on the lakefront last week looking at the stars with friends when prosecutors say she noticed a man dressed in all black who appeared to be hiding. As the group tried to flee, prosecutors say Medina shot Gorman in the back, killing her. Investigators used surveillance video to track Medina's movements before and after the attack, and a key piece of evidence linking him to the case was a .40 caliber shell casing recovered from the beach. Prosecutors say it was a match to a gun they found in his Rogers Park apartment during his arrest. The case has garnered national attention and scrutiny of immigration policies under the Biden-Harris administration and some Illinois leaders by many. That includes leadership in the White House. 5 days after Gorman's murder, Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson issuing statements. Pritzker saying he acknowledges there have been real failures and those extend beyond the borders of Illinois. He also blames President Trump for not following his own edict to go after the worst of the worst. Gorman's family pushing back, saying our daughter is not a policy debate, and her death was not abstract, it was preventable. The statement reads in part, but Sheridan's death cannot be reduced to a general tragedy, nor can it be explained away by broad references to failure somewhere else. Sheridan was a daughter, a sister, and a young woman whose life was taken in a way that should never have been possible. Earlier this week, elected officials expressing their support for her family.
Her parents said it best. Her life was taken because of choices made here in this city, here in this state. Choices that we have tried to correct numerous times.
I think what everybody should want is for him to be held accountable for the murder of this bright young girl who had her whole life ahead of her. I mean, I can't even imagine what her parents are going through right now. And so what she needs is justice. And what he needs is to be held accountable.
100%.
Court records show Medina was charged in a shoplifting case in downtown Chicago within a month of arriving in the U.S., but remained out despite a warrant for his arrest. DHS says ICE has issued an arrest detainer to prevent Medina's release from custody. Now, the accused killer is expected to make his first appearance at 11:30 this morning. It is likely that the courtroom will be packed when that happens. Gorman's family says they're remembering her as a young woman with a kind heart in the light of their family. A memorial and celebration of life is planned tomorrow for Gorman, which will be held in New York, where she's from. We are live outside the criminal courthouse this morning at 26 in California. I'm Courtney Spinelli, WGN.
Who do you blame? Do you blame some people? You heard one man saying that he blames Trump because he said he was going to go after the worst of the worst, which he did go after. They released the stats on that. But then he also going after families as well. We got to say how it is. He goes after anyone who is classified as an illegal immigrant. Or are you going to blame the sanctuary city policies who let them come in and instead of when they get caught or arrested, sending them over to the ICE or however, I think it's ICE, just calling them or just letting them go. But let's get over into the main thing we want to see. What do they mean, childlike mindset? Let's get over into that.
The man accused of murdering a Loyola Chicago student on March 19th in court today for a detention hearing. 25-year-old Jose Medina, according to DHS, is an undocumented immigrant from Venezuela. Medina has been charged with shooting and killing 18-year-old Sheridan Gorman as she and friends walked along the lakeshore less than a mile from campus. News Nation's Alex Cabriello is live outside the courthouse with the latest. Alex, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon to you, Nick. That detention hearing just wrapping up moments ago. The ruling that came down is that Jose Medina, the accused killer of Sheridan Gorman, is going to remain in police custody for the foreseeable future. Ultimately, the state being able to make the argument that he posed a clear and present danger to others and that there was overwhelming evidence that points to his guilt. Ultimately, what the state prosecutor said, and I'm paraphrasing here, is nobody is more dangerous than someone who hides in the darkness and kills strangers for no reason. That really was the evidence that they tried to present, that there was no actual connection between the accused killer, Medina, and the defendant here, 18-year-old Sheridan Gorman. They ultimately laid out everything that they built and got so far as an investigation. Police able to actually take surveillance videos from near Lake Michigan where that killing actually occurred and connect it to the person who they believe is responsible. Of course, we're talking about 26-year-old Medina. They were able to identify him based on the footage that shows that very peculiar walk that he was able to use. Although this person was completely masked, wearing dark clothing, later on they said that they found video surveillance that actually shows Medina with his mask off, leaving and heading back to his apartment complex, using facial recognition technology to actually ID that person. Later on, when a search warrant was actually executed, police say that they found the gun they believe was used to kill Gorman that was also wrapped up in a mask. Now, this was also the very first time we heard from the defense and actually what they believe is reason why he should be let go, or at the very least why they think is the justification for this. And let me show you first this. So this was a photograph that was given to the judge. This is 26-year-old Jose Medina. And we learned that this very large and significant dent that is in his head actually came from a gunshot wound that he sustained when he was living in South America. They said that he was riding his motorcycle when someone came up armed and robbed him and shot him in the head. A portion of his skull now missing, with bullet fragments still lodged within his brain. And they say that this is one reason, along with the fact that he has the schooling of a 7-year-old, that he stopped going to school. He can't read, he can't write, he's developmentally delayed in so many different capacities that he makes poor judgment decisions ultimately. Obviously, this was not a reason why they asked for his release completely, but they did offer this as reasoning to who this man is, was, and continues to be. The defense making a very unusual request, not for his complete and total release from custody, but rather that he be held in the Cook County Jail for the foreseeable future. The reason behind that is political. And Nick, this is so much of this conversation at this time, right? The battle that's happening between local and state versus the federal government right now. We do know that the Department of Homeland Security has asked for a detainer so that way ICE can take custody. The defense says, we hope that he stays in the Cook County Jail for the foreseeable future so that way ICE doesn't have a chance to take him and deport him to a third world country, in which case all of his due process requirements and liberties would be denied to him.
Now, let me say something. If he is, first of all, they said that he hid in the dark, scoped out a target, aimed down and shot her, was able to flee the scene, wore a mask, and go back home. That doesn't sound like someone who has a childlike mentality to me. I might be thinking wrong, but just tell me, y'all. That seems like someone who deliberately knows what they're doing, understands what's right and wrong, understands that he could get in trouble for it. That's why he wore a mask. Sounds like someone who deserves to be in jail. I might be speaking crazy here, but...
And the family getting the justice that they would like to see as well there. Alex, one quick question for you. Have you heard anything from Sheridan Gorman's family and how they feel about this political fight surrounding their daughter?
Well, interestingly, we did not see the Gorman family here in court today. However, they did appear via Zoom. I got a close-up look at what they appeared to be sitting around a coffee table. There was about 12 of them in total, 10 of them sitting and listening very intently, 2 of them standing on the sidelines. We know that they are obviously very invested in this case. Their 18-year-old little girl, completely innocent, killed in the middle of the night, allegedly by a man who didn't even know her, that was essentially stalking his prey. But the Gorman family is adamantly against making this a political argument or picking one side over the other, despite federal, state, and local lawmakers essentially disagreeing about the cause behind this case. In fact, they recently recognized a statement that Governor J.B. Pritzker made in which the governor said that there were real failures that actually happened here that led to Gorman's death. And so the Gorman family releasing a statement that wrote, "If there were failures, as the governor himself has acknowledged, then every one of them must be identified, examined, and addressed directly. Our daughter is not a policy debate. She is a life that was taken, and that demands accountability." Again, Sheridan Gorman, a freshman at Loyola University here in Chicago, innocent, standing by Lake Michigan with friends as any college kid would, and her life taken so suddenly, so unexpectedly.
100%. The main thing that we care about is that someone ended up killing this young woman. A random man ends up killing this young woman. Doesn't matter if he's illegal or not. He needs to be held responsible for his actions. 100%. Let's go over to the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about this whole case and see if they tell us anything differently. So as we know, on March 19th, the 18-year-old Miss Gordon, a freshman at Loyola University in Chicago, was shot and killed while walking with her friends near the university Lakeshore campus. The shooting occurred around 1:30 a.m. at the Toby Pines Beach Park. She was looking at the stars with a group of her friends when they were approached by a masked individual. Prosecutors stated that the suspect was hiding behind a lighthouse before running towards the group and opening fire as Gorman attempted to flee. She was shot in the head and pronounced dead at the scene. Jose, 25, in connection with the killing, he was identified through surveillance footage and facial recognition. He faces multiple felony counts, including first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated assault with a firearm. At the detention hearing, though he faced delays, he was reportedly being treated for tuberculosis. So as we know, they're going through a bunch of broader context, immigration status. Let's go over into his mental capacity. So in the detention hearing on March 27th, defense attorneys for him argued that he has a significant cognitive impairment and a mental capacity of a young child. His defense attorney presented several facts regarding his mental state. He was reportedly suffered gunfire in the head in Venezuela in 2018. Attorneys provided a photo showing a visible indentation in his skull. The defense claims that he has the cognitive functioning of a 7-year-old, citing significant development delays and a lack of basic literacy. He reportedly suffers from epilepsy, bullet fragments remain in his brain, and severely limit short and long-term memory. His formal schooling supposedly ended around the age of 7 due to a deep poverty in Venezuela. Despite these claims, prosecutors and judge focused on the premeditative nature of the crime. In the unusual move, his defense attorney just requested that he remain in jail so he wouldn't be taken away from ICE. Mental problems or not, I've said this before, mental problems or not, if you've done something this dangerous, something so horrible where you ended up taking someone's life, now I'm fine if they lock him up in the mental hospital for the rest of his life, but he cannot be out in regular public with anyone else for the rest of his life. At least I think that's fair. I don't think you should just let them walk because that you claim they have a mental illness. No. If they ended up killing someone, mental illness or not, they need to be locked up somewhere for the rest of their life. But let me know your thoughts on that, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. The world is a crazy place, and we got to focus on what needs to be focused on. They'll try to blind you with a bunch of stuff saying that they'll bring up politics and everything, but let's get to the roots of it. That's what we got to do. Like I said, let me know your thoughts on that whole situation, y'all.